everyone, welcome to an all-new mini episode of the LoudCasa Talks. My name is Nate. Alongside on my right is Omid. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Just kicking back, and let me just say, it's so good to be back after many weeks, man. So good to be
Many
back.
weeks, maybe months, because we haven't actually hanged out. Well, no, actually, what am I talking about? We actually hanged out 2 weeks ago? Actually,
Yeah,
out
man.
of town. Actually, literally together, hanging out in another town. Either way, we haven't.
Newsflash, we hang out in secret too.
Wait,
We
what?
hang out in person too. Newsflash, we hang out in
No,
person.
we hanged out in person. We hanged out in person, and I'm like, thank God we actually did, because the whole vacation we actually had, we literally went to a new town, another town, watched some football games, drink some beers, and all that kind of stuff. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you don't know what place we're talking about, then y'all should know what the heck we're up with. Omid actually had a fun time over at this black place that I actually toured during my visit there. You ended up having an amazing time. You ended up having an amazing time over there.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, the place that we're talking about, I'll give you a hint. Whatever stays in that place, whatever happens in that place stays in that place we're talking about.
Also, if you follow Omid, you already know where we were at. But either way, we ended up having a great vacation. The thing is that now we're back. Loud House and Casagrandes, these are flying right off the shelf right now. But we'll save that for the LoudCasa Talks when we come back in November. The other thing too is that we have a lot of episodes that also did come out as well, so that's why we're doing again the Loud House episode reviews. So how have you been, Omid, since we actually hanged out 2 weeks ago?
Let me tell you, it was a bit hard to get back into the reality after such an awesome and eventful trip, but reality ensues, right? You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta go back to work. You gotta go back to, hanging out with your parents and, doing all the responsibility stuff.
Yeah, adult stuff.
Yeah, adult stuff. Yes, I know it's adult stuff. What's weird though? When we go back into reality, I think my reality kind of sucked. I don't know if you actually were catching up on what the heck is going on with me, but to say the least, I could be unemployed in the next couple of weeks. So. There's your downer tonight.
Shit, yeah, dude. Listen, I'm sorry about what you went through, man.
I don't know if it's because I went on vacation after I got hired by them, but that's just kind of I don't know, some theories that can pop up. I don't know. It's just weird how I'm dealing with some stuff right now. This is the reason why I'm not on Discord as much. It's the reason why I'm not on social media as much. I try my best to actually get the fan page of the Loud House back into form on Twitter. But to say the least, it's, tough for me to actually get back on social media just because I'm, in a mood at the moment.
Dude, you deserve better, man. Honestly, it's understandable, man. Like I said, you deserve a better environment. You deserve better.
Yeah. Well, that's more of a different story. Either way, yeah. So, we went to Las Vegas. I'll answer it now. We went to Las Vegas, by the way. We ended up having an awesome time. This guy went to the Raider game. He ended up having an amazing, time in an overtime game and actually partied with all the Raider fans out there. I ended up
man.
Look, I ended up having a fun time watching my Niners play and end up winning Sunday's game, okay? You know what? I'm okay with that. But the other thing too is that I also did lose some bets, so shut the hell up, okay? That was bad. Bad bets that I actually put in. Oh my God.
As for me, I want myself some moolah, man. Some moolah.
Well, you ended up what? Because you picked the Eagles? Yeah, you picked the Eagles on that one. Okay, good. But the thing is that
the Dolphins,
the Eagles the week after that. And the Dolphins, yeah. See, look, I picked the Niners for just one straight bet, and then they lost by 8, and then they won by 8, but then that didn't cover my bet. So I'm like, okay, that fucked it up. So I didn't actually win any cash. So I'm like, great. Okay, I guess I'll earn my money back by working.
Oh, man. All matter to do with luck, my man.
But I think the best thing of it all is that we had a great time out. We ended up not being in the Bay Area anymore, just traveling all the way to Las Vegas, having ourselves a good ass time. And hopefully things are about to clear up soon that we can actually go to more vacations. We are looking at San Diego Comic-Con next year, and it's looking green light at the moment. So we're having green lights to say that we're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con next year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't get screwed over with what's been happening around the world right now.
Yeah, man, things are looking lit so far. Things are looking like they're turning up, thankfully, and that's because we're getting better in terms of the current situation. So I'm saying like, okay, well, it turns out that 2022 does have the potential to be even better than 2021.
Look, 2021 wasn't bad. I mean, we were out of this thing now. We're actually traveling. So hopefully we can get back
Yes.
to our conventions back. I mean, we're going to hope we get back to our conventions. I mean, I have a convention coming up in November, so wish me luck. I hope everything is cleared up by then.
Yeah, have fun with
Okay,
that, man.
All right, enough small talk. This is all about the Loud House episode review. So let's go straight to our episodes that we're going to be reviewing, which is Loud House episodes. So we're going to be reviewing Much Ado About Noshing, Broadcast Blues, Glory Days, and Dream a Lily Dream. So I know that we have a lot of episodes that came out. Most of them are Casagrandes, but we want to just get rid of the Loud House episodes and just start reviewing them immediately. So let's get right to it. From the first episode that came out on August 27th, Much Ado About Noshing. So let me give you a synopsis here, Mead. The kids help Dad track down the mysterious person who left Lynn's table a bad review. So let's start off with the whole scenario here. What this episode brings in, because like bad reviews tanks restaurants, and that is usually the case. Yeah, bad Yelp reviews tanks restaurants.
Yeah, look at Yelp, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Lynn's table is in the middle of that. How did you like the writer's idea of like how this episode is executed?
You know, when I first heard about this episode, I was thinking to myself, oh boy, this is going to be the Loud House's achy breaky heart, isn't it? But surprisingly, they go in their own different direction by its own execution. So after the kids find their dad crying because he got so many bad reviews from what is essentially the LoudCasa universe's own Yelp, which is Nosh, they then track down the most sus customers to give Lynn Senior bad reviews.
I'm kind of like surprised about this episode. Just the fact that like, okay, yeah, so I don't know what Much Ado About Noshing means, but the thing is that apparently Nosh is supposed to be yelping. So technically Much Ado About Yelping if it's going to be like in the real situation here. And, I think it's a good way to actually have this episode because, from the way you look at it, yeah, Lynn's Table is an amazing restaurant, but if you have a bad review and that continues on, obviously a lot of people will probably get the trend and not go into Lynn's Table. So I understand the writer's execution and the writer's like idea of actually making an episode like this. And I thought that was actually really cool. Like, yeah, I understand a restaurant needs to survive by reviews. And if a bad review happens, they're going to be like going down the drain. So I would say the idea was there. It sounded pretty cool. So when I first went into this episode, I thought, oh, okay, this might be like, interesting. So I actually will check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the episode now. With those bad reviews around, they would start picking up people whom they think they would give those bad reviews. Suspicious characters would be Mr. Grouse. Okay, yeah, I'm their neighbor, so I want to imagine they were gonna give a bad review because of that. Flip, come on, everyone hates Flip. So what? You're assuming that it's going to be him, right?
It's not expecting, honestly.
Scoots, yeah, Scoots is also suspicious just because she's also like a bad girl, bad old woman. Mrs. Bernardo, which I thought was surprising. I'm like, really? Just because she wasn't hired is the reason why she would give a bad review? And Principal Huggins, which, you see him in the restaurant before. He does give like some criticism, especially to the waiters. You saw that in was it Camp?
Yeah,
you saw that in that one episode.
Yeah, like a Darren, right? Like a Darren.
So from the list of characters, when you saw this episode, did you believe that one of them would have pulled off the bad review?
It's not very surprising that each and every one of them would turn out to be sus noshers. Well, okay, the most surprising, honestly, would be Mrs. Bernardo, but even then, Nate, like you pointed out, she didn't get hired in Cooked, so I would imagine that she would actually do this out of spite and revenge. But everyone else outside of Mrs. Bernardo, let's just say they have some not so endearing personality traits in which they would make them rude, nitpicky, Karen/Darren customers. So honestly,
don't you call them Karens now?
Yeah, no, honestly, like the way they, nitpick, bitch, moan, complain when things don't go their way. Yeah, what do you call them? Yeah, you usually call them Karens and Darrens.
Yeah, but I mean, when I looked at that list, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. Now it makes you want to think, like, who really could pull off a bad review? I would imagine Mr. Grouse, just the fact that, it's his neighbor. So I'd imagine he would be the one that would actually give the bad review. But I'm looking at the others. Mr. Principal Huggins seems like a guy who will not do that. But Scoots will also do the same thing too. Scoots is a person who would, give bad reviews and, criticize so critically about like food and stuff like that. So
I'd imagine of her to do that.
It is, yeah. So I was assuming that Scoots would be the one person to actually give the bad review that pretty much led to this whole episode this time.
Mm-hmm.
Mystery Nosher, you can't just hide your name under the usernames and all.
But Mystery Nosher.
But I was surprised Mrs. Bernardo actually was the suspect. I'm like, no, she can't be. She's too nice to actually become a suspicious person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now all of them would be invited to the restaurant for a free meal. And this was the time for the kids to start seeing who would be the bad reviewer, but it seems all of them look to be the suspect. How'd you like this little sequence of like the kids pretty much like, being waiters and waitresses to the suspicious people, and they're always giving out some bad like some bad demands and things like that.
I really did enjoy the sequence. Oh, sure, some may argue, oh, they're being rude to the Louds, and that is true. But to me, the scene really stands out with its fast-paced comedy, plus the fact that you got all these different unique characters you wouldn't expect to be in the same table together, well, being in the same big table together. Oh, and also, this time Tyler talks. Like, Scoots' man, Tyler, actually talked in this episode. Like...
He only talked to that one. He only talked to that one episode. When we first met him in The Boss, maybe, and now he talks again. So he's now pretty much
he didn't have nearly as much lines.
He's pretty much Scoot's side boo now.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, it's the dialogue, the fast-paced comedy, the animation, how it really takes advantage of said fast-paced comedy. Just everything about this scene just really works. I really did like this sequence a lot. But then after this segment, after the scene, unfortunately, the ending is where things come crashing down, and we're going to get to it very soon.
I think the thing is that what makes this scene so great was the fact that, like, even if you think that the characters were not suspicious, you think that they're not going to be the one person who actually gives a bad review. Lo and behold, they get served by just giving out some bad stuff, like saying, oh, Mrs. Bernardo saying, like, this is not good. I need this to be more extravagant or something like that. And, of course, Flip being, like, nauseous, and then Mr. Grouse having his own complaints. So now you understand, like, maybe they're all suspicious. Maybe they are giving those bad reviews and stuff like that. So
And that's what I like about this. Like, it builds up. Like, the suspense and the mystery keeps building up and up to the point where, like, the more you see them, the more you see their behavior, the more you think, okay, yeah, one of them is definitely going to be the Nosher. Like, you could tell, like, one or at least some of them, they're definitely going to be, like, the Noshers. They're going to be the culprits for sure. It's not going to be surprising.
It can't be, yeah. So yeah, now we're just pretty much all thinking about, like, maybe one of them will be the Nosher. But unfortunately, the person that was still giving bad reviews, he was still giving bad reviews. So I don't know why Lin Sr. had to do this sequence where he pretty much like lashed out at them and actually spit at them. I'm like, okay, Mr. Lin Sr., you're actually getting a little angry here for a second.
I would snap too.
You would really? I would. The thing is that will give a bad review, by the way. So,
like, after a hard ass day, after serving the customers every whim, and then all of a sudden, like, you get a review and it turns out to be bad. Yeah, of course you would flip your shit.
Right, but not
flip
like
your shit.
still, like with what Lin Sr. did, I'm like, wow, you really are that angry. But then again, I can understand his case, like trying to look around, find a Nosher, and then it turned out to be none of them. But we actually did find who the Nosher was, and apparently it was actually Lin Sr. who gave the bad review. Wow. So we actually went through this ending. A mistake pretty much by Lin Sr. Why did we go through that? Omid, how did you like this whole ending here?
Okay, so like I said, the episode was going so well, but unfortunately, from here on out, this is where the episode really falls apart. The half-assed cop-out ending. OM Nosh! Is it so freaking stupid? So apparently, get this. You want to know the reveal of who the Nosher is? You want to know how this whole situation happened in the first place? What got the Louds to serve the customers their every whim? Like some sort of like freaking nightmare? A butt dial. I'm not kidding. A freaking butt dial. What the flip? First off, this is not regular show, okay? This is not regular show. You don't do butt dials in the Loud House. Second, you had the golden opportunity, the perfect opportunity to give a genuine, heartwarming lesson to Lynn Sr. And then you decided, nah, let's make it so there was never a bad review at all. And let's just say it's butt dial because hardy har har, butt jokes are funny. It is such a wasted opportunity, and I say wasted. There are several ways you could have made this episode work. There are several. Either A, you do exactly what Achy Breaky Art did and have an episode where the Louds track down the Nosher, and once they catch the real Nosher, then make it so that Lynn Sr. says, you know, you got to have a thick skin in terms of getting bad reviews. Now, it might be a rehash of Achy Breaky Heart, but at least it would have made more sense of whatever the hell this was. Or B, you have the real Nosher be one of the customers because it makes perfect sense. He gives constructive criticism towards Lindsay, and then he comes to realize that he's not a perfect chef and that there is room to grow and give a legitimate character development as a chef. Because when you're working like in some sort of career, whether it be a chef, doctor, scientist, or whatever, there's always room for improvement, no matter how talented you are. There's always room for criticism. But no, I think the episode, like, by the way that they presented this butt dial is trying to say, oh, you know what? It's never Lindsay's fault. He always does everything perfect. You know, there's no room to grow. So let's just make it something that's beyond his control. So it turns out Lynn Sr. learned nothing. There you go.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. He never learned nothing. It was pretty much like, well, his lesson was not to butt dial. Pretty much like, you know, leave your phone on lock instead of actually like accidentally putting a Nosh review, which I thought was kind of like, yeah, a really bad cop out. What if it actually did end up being one of them? Would it have been a better ending? Yes. Most definitely would have been a yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think it like to say the least, like if I was going to rewrite the whole ending, it would be like, yeah, he did that whole bad steak, and then you actually get to see who the person who made the bad review did, and it was definitely like maybe Flip, for example. Then he flipped his banned from Lynn's table. So then he actually has to confront Flip, for example, and say, hey, why are you giving me bad reviews? Because I hate this restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And of course, ban him or give him a good food, give him like a good meal so that he can actually like get pleased and actually give a good review. You know, that kind of thing. Instead, we actually ended up with the whole cop-out part. And I'm like, that's not a good lesson to actually learn from. It's more like, don't leave your phone open so that you can actually butt dial and actually give a bad review. And I thought was like, really? Just lock your phone? That's a lesson after all? This is just not a good way to actually have an ending for an episode. To say the least, that's a bad way to end it.
It is, yeah. It's such a half-ass lesson. It
was so good. Like, it was so good. The build-up was great, and then the ending just fell flat. Like, you're going up a steep curve, and then it just went down. Yeah, really, just like that. Oh, my God. Either way, it was, like I said, nonetheless, you know, it was all Lynn Sr.'s fault, and, you know, he had to pay for it at the end by pretty much, like, giving meals every day for, like, I don't know how long. It was just...
wants to be per year, yeah. A whole year.
See? Well, for the whole year, I'm like, come on, man. All right, anyways, what else do you want to bring up from the episode?
Honestly, like, never since Not Allowed have I seen an episode that was doing so well, but then, like, such an absurd, such a poorly written, such a dumbass ending, like, ruined the quality of the episode. It was just, it was so bad. You know what would have been really awesome? Like, it was never going to happen, but I thought, okay, like, if they had an ending where it turns out that it was Gordon Ramsay himself that was the Nosher, and then he turns out to be like, your steak was too raw, or all that stuff. We're no good. It's be like, oh my God, it would have been perfect. Like, have Gordon Ramsay make an appearance on Budget to Nosher. It would have been best ending ever.
That'll be pretty epic. But it also does remind me of that one episode. What was it? A Fridge Too Far. that one reviewer that was like criticizing this table.
He was the American Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, there you go. Let's just put it like that. So make sure he comes back and let him be the bad nosher.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, bad reviews are part of life. They're part of, something that you have to get over. You have to have a thick skin. And you know what? Achy Breaky Heart manages to get this right. So in a way, Achy Breaky Heart, like what you do about Noshing is pretty much Achy Breaky Heart done wrong. In this case.
Yeah, Achy Breaky Art, by the way, not Achy Breaky Heart.
Achy Breaky Art.
Achy Breaky Art is the Casagrandes episode where Frida had to deal with a bad review.
Art. I meant to say art, my bad.
It's okay. We're having our mix up with words here. I got nothing else to say about this episode. Like I said, the buildup was nice. Everybody in their butler outfits were pretty cute too. Like you get to see everyone wear black and wearing ties, which I thought was pretty cute, actually. Seeing like Luna, for example, wearing in that outfit, Lenny in a dress with a black dress and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty cool to actually have the kids actually help their dad out, which I thought was a good family bonding moment. But yeah, like I said, the ending fell flat, so that kind of ruined the whole episode, to say the least. But yeah, that's all I can say. That's all I can say about that. So how would you rate this episode?
I'm actually going to give this. It's hard to say because everything about it was so good, but then the third ending was just. You
can't really make a review. You can't even make a number.
6.5. I'm gonna give this a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
It was doing so well, but then the ending was so atrocious. I couldn't help but think because of the half-ass ending. I'm sorry, I can't help but bosh this episode down by 6.5. It was going to be a 6.5 or 7, but the thing is, the ending pissed me off so much I had to lower it down to 6.5.
Yeah, for me, I gave it a 6 out of 10. It really wasn't that impressive. I mean, well, like I said, the build-up was fine, but then if you actually end it with something like that, the episode is just going to fall flat. And I usually give episode reviews around 8, 9, 10, depending on how great the episodes are. If you've been noticing my reviews. But yeah, 6 out of 10. That's totally something that I never actually get into. But yeah, it was that bad of an episode. So I'm sorry, but not a great episode or much to do about Noshing.
To be fair, we're not as harsh as any of the Noshers, all right? In comparison to the Noshers themselves, we're being generous, okay? So, Lynn Sr., just know that compared to the Noshers, we're actually generous.
Right. We'll see. All right, so on to the sister episode that also aired on August 27th, Broadcast Blues. So here's the synopsis here. The Action News team has to cater to Chandler's demands after he buys the club's new equipment. First off, did you expect that we're going to have a Chandler episode? We're going to have a Chandler episode, really? Are we going to emphasize that Chandler is a character in the Loud House and we're going to have an episode all about him?
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, Chandler? And then Ben was like, I hate the lame people. And then we all gather around and be like, yeah. But seriously, though, why? Why do we need Chandler? Okay, I'll be fine if it was just, Chandler being an ass for 5 seconds. But no, Chandler actually has a legitimate, important role in this. And I'm just thinking to myself, why? Why him? The character that nobody likes, why do we need to bring him back?
My thing is that this episode could be a little bit emphasis about Chandler. I know everybody hates Chandler. I was one person who actually saying, let's give Chandler a chance and actually say, maybe this is character building for Chandler. Maybe this could be an episode where, we'll give forgiveness for Chandler. Why do you all hate him? Is it just because he bullies Lincoln? Is it just because of that? Come on,
guys. Nate. Oh, you have too much faith.
Oh my God! Please look. I emphasize on every small little character that's there in the Loud House right now. And look, every secondary character is building up, like the Casagrandes is doing right. What they're doing with the Casagrandes, for example. They're currently doing every secondary character an episode. what? You ever seen Maybell actually have an episode? You never see Sid and Adelaide have an episode. So yeah, I was thinking like, why not actually have Chandler have a chance and actually have an episode? So that was me coming into Broadcast Blues. I was like, let's give Chandler a chance. He could be a good guy. Who knows? He tried his best in what was it? He tried his best in that one Halloween episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, after Cheers for Fears, I pretty much lost all hope because he would retaliate. He returned to being the one-dimensional bully that, is never an endearing cliche character, like, at all.
But oh my god, there was a chance for him to actually get forgiveness, but to say the least, yeah, he turned out to be the same old bully.
It's slipped away. It's gone.
He's still the same old bully from school. I get it. He's still the same old bully like we saw from school, but he has an episode now. So now let's see if he actually, turns out to be a good guy or turns out to actually get forgiveness. I don't know.
Spoilers. He doesn't.
So let's get back to the episode while we, get off topic here. Anyways, back to the episode. News crew would notably see some problems with their broadcast at some of their equipment because they're either broken or falling apart. So here comes Chandler, who would come to join the club to save the day from their broken equipment. So did you expect, out of all people, Chandler to actually join the club?
Oh, I expected it, but I freaking knew it would come at a price. And wouldn't you know it, it is a damn high price. Like, woo, boy. Like, it's a high price that even makes eBay look like Walmart. It's that bad.
Wow, that's saying something.
So it turns out that it's a way to force the Action News team to have Chandler join the team. And of course, Chandler shows what a complete asshole he is, and we're going to touch upon that right now.
Oh my god! Oh, here's the thing: like, he joins the team, and he gave them some good equipment. So to say the least, there's a chance that Chandler would have been a great person to join the team. But what Omid said, yes, he did not actually build his character. I kind of was. Look, I love I like the idea of actually having Chandler have an episode, but as the episode continues to execute. Now I understand why people hate Chandler. Look, he was there to save the club. He turned out to be really cool. So I would imagine that, hey, Chandler can be forgiven. Look, he's giving the news team some awesome equipment. So maybe they could give him heart. And you know what? Chandler did end up getting like his own segments, his own stuff on the Action News team. So to say the least, they did give him some parts. But when he got his parts, he took advantage of it, to say the least. Because soon enough, Chandler would provide them all these types of stuff. He does his own broadcasts, by the way. And his broadcasts are quite questionable, to say. How did you like Chandler's role in the Squad Action News team?
It's really not surprising in the slightest that Chandler behaved the way that he did. Humiliating the lunch lady, splashing Lincoln and Clyde with the waterfall prank when talking about the weather, signing other people's books. It's basically Chandler being, Chandler, what did you all expect? Did you all expect that he was just going to be all kindness, flowers, cookies, and milk? Oh,
look! I'm going back into Cheers for Fears. Okay, there was a chance. Okay, he was forgiven. He was forgiven from Lincoln and Clyde for bullying him. Okay, so to say the least, like, he had a change of heart in Cheers for Fears until he became a bully back in school. So I was imagining that maybe there's a change of heart in this episode where the squad is going to forgive Chandler for all of the bullying that they do, or something like that. But
yeah, but now I know that the Action News team. Now look, I get it. I get that the Action News team all want this expensive equipment, which they can help benefit their show. But they should have realized long ago that having him is not worth all these expensive equipment, okay? Trust me. But thankfully, they fire him later on, but not without Chandler stuffing their lockers with skunks. God, Chandler just stinks as a character, doesn't he? Chandler just stinks.
Yeah, just like the skunk.
You get what I did there?
I'm just appalled. I thought that, if FC takes advantage, as he, obviously gives the squad, like the Team Action News team, all this equipment, that you were thinking that Chandler would actually become like nice to them. He gets his own segment and stuff like that, but of course he's still going to continue to become the bully that he is. So you get to see him actually smear the camera with chicken. You get to see him, peg down some books and get a new record out of that. I'm like, okay, you're still the same old bully, but you're just pretty much putting it in public for the whole school to see. So it's like, oh, you really aren't helping the team. It's more like you're helping yourself boost yourself to become a bully, and that sucks because like, look, I like I said, I came in hoping Chandler would become a better character. No, he's still the same. He's still the same bully, and I'm like, I'm disappointed. I really was hoping Chandler would actually have like a good episode out of this, but no, this turned out to be just something that fell down to my was very low to my expectations.
Yeah, like honestly, like we were all right, man. We all told you so, man. There's no hope for Chandler anymore.
I had hope. Look, if you had like, look, say for example, you had a Girl Jordan episode. Maybe you all would love it just because you all love Girl Jordan. Maybe she becomes a bully too. Who knows? Maybe that can make me disappoint you all. Maybe that could disappoint you all. See what I'm trying to say here.
The thing is, it would be out of character for Girl Jordan. So yes, I would agree that if Girl Jordan became a bully, then yeah, it would be, pretty bad.
I mean, like, if you have like emphasis characters on one secondary character, you were thinking that it would actually help build their character up. But instead, you're pretty much, building their character up, but in the wrong way for Chandler in this episode.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's not it's not all that surprising that they went this way with Chandler, but at the same time, though, like it was wishful thinking that he would get any sort of actual redemption. So
right. I tried my best. I was hoping that Chandler would actually get some heart, but no, I was totally mistaken. Either way, look, they're in a situation where he pretty much is in the team because of all the equipment that he had. So how the heck do they get him out? They actually did find a way, because Chandler apparently was actually selling some stuff from his dad's sewage company in order for him to get the money, in order for them to actually buy all this equipment. So they tried to make a plan to make Chandler fess up about this. How'd you like the sequence here where the squad was trying to actually make him confess, and they had Rusty and Zach in girl outfits, and I'm like, wait, Stell's a girl. Why can't she actually pull this off?
I was thinking the same thing. I was literally thinking the same thing. Like, why don't you have, even Stella asked herself, like I like how even Stella questioned herself, like, why didn't you have me as a girl? Like, I am the girl of the squad. It's like, I like how even Stella points it out. And we were all thinking that too. It was just like, I digress. Anyway,
it reminds me of Stall Monitor, where, I was thinking maybe Stella could have actually pulled off Mrs. Johnson, but no, it actually turned out to be Rusty. He's a girl.
Going back to this, I actually knew something was sus about him. Like, I get he's the son of a father who owns a sewage plant, but even at that, it was just, really, really, really fishy that he would still have them. It seems like really sus, It's like Chandler's sussy baka. Chandler was. This is totally sussy baka.
The other thing too is that throughout the episode, after he gets him the equipment, he always goes up to his phone saying, "Hey, it's Chandler. Hey, it's Chandler." You don't know what the heck was in the other line until you knew later on that it was another person who wants to buy something from his dad's sewage plant. Yeah. So
when did you know it? Yeah, it turns out.
So technically, he was pretty much black marketing things.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, the sequence here was actually pretty cool. I love the idea that Lincoln actually brought up, the fact that let's actually pose you guys as girls and actually give you guys like jewelry that Chandler found over at the sewage plant. And I just love the fact that like Zach and Rusty ended up actually becoming the girls, and I'm like, wow, you actually do pull it off nicely. I'm like, really? Oh boy. So yeah, either way, Chandler fesses up, and the thing is that he ended up taking away all of their equipment. In the end, though, they found a way to actually make the telecast work by using their phones. And it turned out to actually become better for the whole middle school and the team and the Action News team. So how did you like the ending of this episode where all of this happened?
The way I would describe this episode, honestly, it's pretty much an inverted Much Ado About Noshing. Whereas in that episode, everything about this worked except the ending, which really diminished the overall quality of the episode. This episode, however, like, especially with the parts with Chandler, it was just so agonizing to watch all the way through until it's very, and I mean legit, very satisfying ending. The ending in which Chandler gets his just desserts and gets exposed hard. And I mean, he gets exposed hard to the point where Chris Hansen himself would applaud Lincoln and his squad. It's that good. It's
Wow.
that satisfying. And then, of course, Chandler later on gets sprayed by Skunk, like, which is so satisfying to see. So it's like, the karma just never ends for him. Hey, Chandler, karma stinks, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, at the end though, at least everybody got satisfied. Look, that team action, that was it, the Action News team ended up having their equipment problem fixed by using phones, and yeah, Chandler ended up getting what he gets because he's a bully and all. But yeah, that was pretty much the whole entire episode. I was, like I said, disappointed. That I thought this would be a good character emphasis part for Chandler, but it turned out to be the disabled bully that he is, and I'm like, yeah. All right, Omi, anything else you want to bring up in this episode?
Yes, like I said before, now this episode, like up until the ending, like I said, it was just, like I want to say that it was a fun Action News team episode, like the previous one. But the thing is, like I said, what really botched it down is just how Chandler was just so aggravating to watch, just how he was being so obnoxious with what he's doing that, like, it just became kind of unbearable. But then the ending is what kind of saved the episode. So honestly, I'll give it that. Like, honestly, at this point, we can't really expect Chandler to change anytime soon because, like I said, he's nothing more than a one-dimensional bully who only serves to drive the plot and not a genuine character. Okay, so can we please not have him anymore, please? Thank you.
Here's the thing: if we actually do have another Chandler episode, let it please be a building character, like a character building episode, where he actually like has a change of heart instead of being the bully. Come on, guys, come on.
Lost cause, man, lost cause.
Or do something of an episode where Chandler like gets really in trouble for doing all this bullying stuff that he actually has to, change his ways to become like a student back in Royal Woods Middle School. Maybe
that's
like
wishful thinking, my friend. That's wishful thinking.
Stop it! I'm gonna try my best here, okay? And another thing too, if we actually do have a Chandler episode, can we have a Girl Jordan episode, please? Look, she's a secondary character that needs more emphasis. Everyone loves her. Come on.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, don't give anyone any ideas, okay? You're giving. Don't give any ideas.
What do you mean? I want them to like emphasize the second character
because you just mentioned
characters like Casagrandes are doing.
No, here's the thing. You just mentioned Chandler, then you just mentioned Girl Jordan right after. I'm just like,
no, don't think of it that way, Omid. Don't think of it that way. Wow. Stop the shipping in your mind. All right, how would you rate this episode?
Honestly, I'm gonna give this I'll give this a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's an inverted Much Ado About Noshing. Like I said, like it was really mediocre, mainly because of Chandler, but at least there was genuine chemistry between the teams, so I'll give it that. And also, the ending is just one of the most satisfying endings I've ever seen, up to a point where it really did elevate the episode for me, but just to 7 out of 10, like at the highest maximum.
And like I said, I came in with high expectations for Chandler, but it turned out to be pretty disappointing. So I give it a 6 out of 10 because this doesn't actually help Chandler at all. This actually just made Chandler worse of a bully. So this was your perfect opportunity for Chandler to actually have some good character emphasis, but it turned out to be the same old bully that he is, and it just turned out to be much worse. So yeah, not a good way to actually have Chandler be like have its own episode and actually just continue to start showing off his bulliness there. So 6 out of 10. I was disappointed, to say the least.
Yeah, honestly, like, just because it's not surprising doesn't change the fact that it pissed me off.
Look, I don't know if they're going to have another Chandler episode, but, season 6 is just around the corner. There's a possible chance you will probably see another Chandler episode. Just make sure you don't like get into like a nagging fit like what's happened right here.
Oh gosh.
All right, so that adds that actual 30-minute block, but we actually did have more episodes actually come in on August 27th, and to say the least, these next 2 episodes are actually, I think, the best episodes out of this whole weekend. So let's actually start it off with, I believe, my favorite episode Just because it's all about my favorite character, Lori Days.
Yes, not surprising. It's not surprising at all.
Lori is the best. Oh, I'm so glad that we're gonna have another episode where Lori's actually back in the house, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Look, it's not ghosted, okay? Please don't remind me of that episode. So let's get into the synopsis here. Lori makes a surprise visit to the house when she feels like she's missing out on the inside jokes. So this episode reflects on how Lori is missing out at home after moving to college, and the only way to communicate with her family is through phone, which we saw in the first scenes isn't a great way to actually, like, get all the news that's happening in the Loud House. So how did you like the synopsis of this Lori episode and how she's missing home?
Oh, I literally loved it. Now, for the longest time, we've been waiting for an episode in which it delves into Lori's college life. And in a way, it sort of did, but on something that is natural amongst college students who move away, and that is homesickness. Though Lori is living her independent life in college, at the end of the day, there's that tiny part of her that is longing to return home, despite the circumstances. And the only way that she could do that is through video chat. But she knows that, it's not the same as being in person, like physically there. So that is why, per suggestion from her college buddy Marissa, she plans to visit them in person. And she goes to visit them in person so that she'll finally get the connection that she's been longing for ever since she moved out of the Loud House.
I'm just really looking. Well, the first thing that came into mind when I first saw this episode synopsis is like, oh my God, Lori's back. And I'm thank God Lori is back. And she's actually going back into the Loud House. So, and then when you actually look at the meaning of like how this episode is going to go, you understand why. Because say, for example, you move out to college, you're obviously going to miss home because you're pretty much you lived your 18 years at home. And now you're going to be moving away to go to college and pretty much like live your own individual life. I understand that homesickness is going to be a thing for you. So I understand why Lori is just absolutely missing out on what's happening at home because all of the things that's happening in college. You have your golf career, you have all these studies, and that you totally are missing out on what's happening at home that, everyday life at home is pretty much not existent over there in college. So to say the least, I just totally understand why Lori had to come back because the homesickness is right there and that she absolutely misses out on like the Loud siblings and everything. Look, video chats over the phone is not going to be the same thing. So obviously visiting back home, checking out what's happening over at the house, at the Loud House, it's obviously a good way for Lori to actually like remingle back with the Loud crowd, with the Loud family.
I agree, man. I agree.
Oh man, and to say the least, like throughout this episode, I was like feeling it with how Lori is with just like missing everything and all that. We're gonna explain more as we continue on this episode. Now, Lori decides to spend her entire weekend out with the family, but unfortunately, their Saturday was already occupied, leaving Lori just meeting up with each of her siblings, already doing their plan. So how do you like the sequence of events where Lori pretty much was visiting each Loud sibling? And yeah, just Lori pretty much visiting each Loud sibling.
Now, for the most part, I literally did like the scene. But at the same time, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Sure, the way that she went on about it was a bit obnoxious, especially that one scene I'm about to mention. But it was all out of her wanting to reconnect with her family. Also, I really like the callbacks to previous episodes, like Lincoln and Lana playing Total Trash Takedown, which is a nice callback to one of the best Season 4 episodes, Game Off. Luann and Benny in their mime outfits, which is a callback to one of the best Season 2 episodes, L is for Love. Hell, they even included the scene where after one of the Fox quintuplets flushes the toilet water floods the bathroom, which of course is a small reminder of Sleuth or Consequences, in which even Lucy herself is aware of this and says, "Oh no, not again." Because she knows as well as we do that this is the first time it's happened. I swear, after Lucy says, "Hand me the plunger," I swear, I was just like, are you sure you don't want to bring out Big Bertha? Because let me tell you, it is a Class 5 clog after all. But as much as I really do like the callbacks to all this stuff, there's this one scene that I am not a fan of.
Oh, come on.
Now, of course,
come on.
I really love Luna and Sam holding hands together. It's just so precious. It's so endearing. It's just, oh my God, they're in a moment together. Oh, this is so romantic. But then you have Lori popping out of nowhere, probably she didn't even buy the movie ticket herself, popping out and then constantly, and I mean constantly, interrupting their movie date together. And I'm just like, Lori, there is such a thing as couple etiquette, okay? You've been in a relationship with Bobby for God knows how long. You should know better than this, okay? Even by desperation standards, this is literally not acceptable. And what makes it even more not acceptable is just the fact that, okay, as a diehard Southern fan myself, of course, this offends me to the this pisses me off because I'm just like, you have a scene where Luna and Sam are watching a movie together, like any romantic couple would, and Lori just ruined that. Thanks a bunch, Lori. You literally ruined one of the most touching Selena scenes ever. Hope it was worth it.
Besides that, though, I mean, look, Lori is feeling the sickness, like the whole homesickness that she had to go through. I don't know, like why she had to go through like each and every one of her siblings, rituals or like every event that she had to go through. But you know what, though? I mean, I'm in for that just because of all the callbacks that got back. I'm like, I believe the writers are actually listening to us right now because we said, where's the continuation in this, in the show? And apparently the continuation is actually happening in these couple of scenes. I mean, we have Sam and Luna watching a horror movie together. That tells you that they're still an OTP. You get to see Luann and Betty together. This tells you that they're still a couple. The Fox quintuplets, I thought they were just they're just a secondary character, like people that, we never seen before ever since Coop Dreams. And then they pop up again. I'm like, okay, so now we're actually going to see them more often now. Okay, Fox quintuplets. I thought you were just some random characters. No, you are actually becoming like something of a staple here in the Loud House. Then you also see Game Off. That example from Game Off, it kind of tells you like, okay, so after Lana and Lincoln had their fight over at Game Off, they still ended up teaming up together to play video games. And look at that, over that one scene where Lori was just visiting those two, just playing video games together. I'm like, okay, so nonetheless, just all the callbacks that happened from all of the season 1 to season 3, season 4 moments. I gotta say, thank God they actually brought that up because it's like, okay, so I think the way that we kind of asked the question is, where's the continuity in the show? It's totally happening right now. And it's totally showing off, especially those couple of scenes. And I'm like, okay, at least they actually flash back to season 1, 2, and 3, which I absolutely loved. And it just tells me like they're really doing the continuity problem here right. And thank God they're doing it. Season 5 is like totally changing everything to say.
Yeah, honestly, I was honestly surprised to see the quintuplet triplets also coming back. And wouldn't you know it, like surprisingly enough, they don't act like obnoxious little twits like they did in Sitting Bull. That's really fascinating.
They had a frog die. They had a frog die, which makes sense for them to actually feel sad. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like they went from obnoxious to sympathetic. It's like, wow.
Then the other two scenes were like Lola got massaged at Royalwood Spa. I kind of thought that was a reflection towards Sweet and what was it? The Sweet and Sour episode? Yeah, during the Sweet and Sour episode.
Yeah.
And then of course Lynn playing soccer, but that's typical Lynn. He always like do some sports. So yeah, Lori, thanks for ruining Lynn's game.
Also, so you can argue that Lynn playing soccer is a callback to Hero Today Gone Tomorrow.
Maybe. I don't know. I just thought it was a sport thing. Anyways. So, obviously, Saturday is pretty much occupied. Sunday pretty much was all about Lori and the Loud House group. Now, everything was all planned. Lori was about to go to play mini golf with their family. And then they went to go to... Then it turned out to be a disaster. They went to go to dinner night together. That turned out to be a disaster. Went to Tall Timbers Park to eat Bourbon Burger. That also failed as well. Explain your thoughts about what happened with Lori trying to plan out some stuff and then it turned out to be failures.
First off, I just want to say one thing. Can we appreciate the fact that Lynn stands up for her siblings? Like, really? Like, first, there's a scene in Wheel and Deal in which she goes, you're going to eat their dust. And now this is where this shows that she really does mean business, okay? This shows that Lynn shows you don't mess with her family. And it's the fact that when some impatient asshole like says like, oh, hurry it up. And then Lynn's like, back off. You're going to be dinosaurs. But by the time I'm done with you, it's like, and then like up to the point where she bends and twists it. She ties it up like it's a knot. She ties up the putter like it's a knot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Yes. So perfect to see. It's like, major props to Lynn Sandy for that. Honestly, I'm just thinking to myself, like after the scene, I'm just like, why do people hate her again? Anyways, so of course you got a montage. You got this you got this scene by scene of them going to Dairyland, spending time in Dairyland together, them eating Bourbon Burger at Vanzilla, in the some sort of like golf outing, like some sort of
No, it was just an
golf grass,
outing. It was just out. It's just an outing for them, just to eat.
like some sort of park. It was at a park, yeah.
Yeah, it was at a
Like
park.
it was at a park, and so like after they literally go backwards, like the way that Lori describes her relationship with her siblings, like no, Vanzilla is literally going backwards, and then they were like, mud fight, and then
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
yeah, but then Lori
So
turns out to break down and cry and be like,
yeah,
this
and
is literally,
we'll
yeah, we're
discuss
going
this
to talk
later.
about that.
We'll discuss this later. But to say the least, though, I really love the whole part where Lori was trying to do her best to actually have fun with her siblings. I mean, they're all playing mini golf, which I thought was fun. And then of course there's some people that wanted to tell them to move over. But I do love Lynn and Luann's antics here. Luann with the puns and Lynn just trying to defend her family, which I thought was awesome.
Definitely.
I don't know about the whole Dairyland part where Lori tried to put everybody into a car. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you're missing everybody. Why would you actually put them all in one car? Like, I get it. Just let them split, and then you all can meet up at the end and then ride some more rides. They still ended up getting kicked out. The whole getting together with Burger and in Vanzilla, for example, that was more of this is what siblings do. That they always do some food fights and stuff like that. So, Lori tried her best to actually get these plans all rolling, and of course, she ended up failing in each of them, which obviously made her, cry, break down, and also think that she's totally missing out on the family. But the other thing too is that, look, the Louds know about Lori's situation. They know that she's not going to be missing from the family at all. So even if Lori could be gone away 100 miles away from where the Loud House is, they're still there to help her out. This ending, I think, really does hit home because it's like, okay, even if I'm far away, the family's still there to help me out no matter what. And it's like, okay, Lori, you're going to be gone, but you know what? Everybody from the Loud House is there to help you out. And I like, it was just amazing. How did you feel about the ending, Abid?
My God, I literally love this ending and its message, and I'll tell you why. Do you all remember the episode Don't You Forget About Me? The episode in which Lenny learns from Lori that just because you live far distance-wise doesn't mean the bond will weaken. Well, this time, it's Lori herself that receives the message from not just Lenny, but the rest of the family as well. I love the message that this message is being addressed again, except you have the characters switching the roles. The thing with Lori is that, the thing is, before she actually moved out, it was easy for her to accept that because she hasn't lived apart from her family yet. That, far distance-wise, she'll be all good and all this stuff. But the thing is, she at the time didn't know the actual experience, the actual hardship of being a college student away from your family. Now, fast forward to many months later, where she actually has experience as a college student and facing many challenges that do come with it, one of which being far apart distance-wise from her family. It totally makes sense for her to be at the receiving end of the message this time around because she finds that it's tough to be apart from your family because she herself feels that her bond is weakening because of experience.
I have to say this though. I mean, you pretty much said everything there that I was about to say. But to say the least, though, I mean, look, Lori is missing out at home. It definitely makes sense why Lori would be worried. The fact that the family is probably absolutely missing her, absolutely doesn't care about missing her. But in the end, obviously the family's still going to help her out nonetheless. And it just strikes home for me too, because it's like I've been through college. I've been through some times where I had to actually get away from my mom and dad, from my sister, because I had to take care of my studies and things like that. It's tough because it's like I can't go home all the time. I will have to stay in college, or I actually have to go home and actually visit. I mean, there is that distance, for Lori in this case, because it is miles away. She nearly has to drive a couple hours for her to get back to the Loud House. So to say the least, she can't go there every day. She needs to actually be back. She can't go there every day. She needs to have some sort of connection, and she only sees it over with the phone. But at the same time, she still has that connection, knowing that even if they're not connected by phone, or even if she can't be there physically, that they still remember her they still remember her, that she's still part of the family, even if she's at college and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was just amazing to hear that from the family, from like the Loud siblings themselves.
Really sweet. Yeah, really sweet.
All right. So anything else you want to bring up from this episode?
Yes. Now I want to touch upon Lori's college friend Marissa, because yes, even though Marissa does have a small role this time around, honestly, she does have the potential to have a much bigger role in the future when you really do think about it, because it's basically Lori's college BFF. And so hear me out. I kind of want to have a everybody loves Lenny scenario in which like hear me out. Carol Pingree comes to visit Lori because Lenny and Carol are, BFFs, high school BFFs. Yes. And so Lori has to literally choose between her high school BFF, Carol, or her college BFF, Marissa. Like, call it everybody loves Lori, in a sense, if you know what I mean. So I kind of want that to happen.
Do you expect Carol Pingree to actually be back in the Loud House? I don't know. Like we've always been thinking about, we're having a Chaz over in the Loud House now that he's gone. It's kind of like the same thing for Carol Pingree. I hope that she actually does have an appearance back, but to say the least, that would be a pretty like crazy idea that actually happened for an episode. But I actually do like Marissa, and this kind of like emphasizes the fact that maybe we're gonna have more characters in Lori's college, in Fairview University. Maybe this is gonna be a brand new episode of like Lori in Fairview University having a fun time there. Maybe a Loud sibling was gonna visit. They need help or something like that. And this kind of puts up to the point, like, we do need like a Lori college series if possible. Please, can we do that?
Exactly.
Nickelodeon, Paramount Plus.
Hey, no ghosts allowed. Okay,
no ghosts allowed. No, I want to forget that.
Oh, by the way, Nate, in terms of everything you just mentioned about the possibilities and all that, like you said, like you were saying earlier, season 6 is right around the corner.
It is. I'm letting y'all know that anything can happen in season 6. All right, so how would you rate this episode?
Honestly, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Had it not been for that one particular scene, I would have given this a 9.5 or even a 10 out of 10. But let me tell you, everything else about it, like everything else outside of that movie theater scene, oh my God, it is just fantastic. Literally fantastic and touching writing. Like, just the fact that it's a Lori episode that we've been waiting for a long time, for months to happen, in which it delves into Lori's insecurities when she's in college. Just the fact that it delves into Lori's homesickness and how she wants to reconnect with her family, which is actually a genuine college-related situation that that college students internally feel, unlike freaking ghosts. Like, this is something that like, this is just the heart and soul. This is one of the episodes that's really the heart and soul of the Loud family's bond and love that they have for each other. It is just so endearing to see. And just the fact that it's also a role reversal, don't you forget about me, in terms of the message, which makes it so endearing.
I love how Lori would be the one to actually learn about the whole "don't you forget about me" situation, and it absolutely hurts to hear that from her. This episode reflects. I don't know. This episode actually is so touching to me. My favorite character dealing with these troubles, and troubles that I actually faced off as well. It's crazy, like how they try to reflect college life and stuff like that to me in this episode. And I feel for Lori. I feel for like what she did throughout this episode. And this definitely, I never give 10s like this, but it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I actually love this episode.
Whoa.
It's amazing. It was amazing. It's no bias for Lori. It's more of like,
literally not surprised.
It really reflects in me. It was like, okay, I went through college and I totally understand how Lori is feeling. And I'm like, okay, I love how the writers are trying to reflect that, like, in the show, of how she's missing her family and stuff like that.
Like, honestly, like, it reflects upon me too, because like I was a college student myself, and especially in Cal State University East Bay, where I was like busy as hell, whether it be with studies, whether it be for theater, whether it be with hanging out with friends. Let me tell you, I was a busy as hell college dude. All right.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just letting you know, like, college can be hectic, that you don't have a chance to actually get back home. the fact that Lori is feeling the homesickness just hits me hard, and I'm like, yeah, I've been that. I've been there too. She's the best character. Lori's the best.
I've been there too. I've been there too. Well,
all right.
That's debatable. That's debatable. But
before I continue on talking about Lori for another 30 minutes, let's just skip over to the next episode, please. and this one, by the way, I would say also is up there because we never expected this episode to be so good, and it is Dream a Lily Dream. The synopsis here is Lisa discovers the only way to stop Lily's nightmares is to go inside her dreams and fight them herself. So first off, the synopsis sounds a whole lot familiar. I mean, did you feel like we were in some sort of Inception episode that we're going to embark in?
Okay, now, before I answer that question, I'm going to say right off the bat that I am so glad we are talking about this episode now. Because let me tell you, out of all the 4 episodes that we are discussing tonight, this is, without a doubt, the best out of all of them. And you know what they say? Save the best for last. Now, to answer your question, now, when I saw the synopsis, the first thing I thought of was, yep, it's basically their own Inception episode. I even made a funny movie poster meme in which it's Lisa in an Inception movie poster background. You can look it up on my Twitter later on. I made it about like a month ago. So yes, it's basically Lisa going into Lily's dreams in order to vanquish her fears. Of course, I was curious to see how they would pull off this dream episode. And of course, they pull it off in such flying colors.
I was kind of surprised that we're going into a dream-esque episode. So it makes sense why Lisa would be the one person to actually get everybody into people's dreams. So, okay. And the other thing, too, is that I actually like the fact that they're actually treating it with Lily. And first off, I thought it was just going to be a Lily episode just because I saw the episode synopsis and I thought, okay, Lily episode, Lisa and Lily helping out. And by the way, I don't think we actually saw this before where Lisa and Lily are actually sharing an episode or Lisa helping Lily in an episode. This is the first thing I ever actually saw that. So I was like, how will Lisa do with Lily? Because she's not experimenting with her. It's quite interesting, but I liked it. I'm like, huh, and a good idea. So when I came into this, I'm like, how will this all play out? Because Lisa is doing something with Lily in this one. So yeah.
Yeah.
To say the least. How'd you like that Lisa's nightmares reflect to Lisa's past inventions like Trashy or that tentacle or the other thing that we'll talk about later?
Oh yes. Yes. I loved all these pieces of continuity. Just yes. Now remember, writers, continuity is your best friend. Anyways, I love that they brought it back in season 1. And not only that, but they also served a purpose to the story. They're not there just to say, oh, look, don't you remember season 1? You know, they're not member berries. They are Lisa's past inventions that has given her nightmares for weeks. Like, given Lily's nightmares for weeks. Therefore, motivating Lisa to help out her sister because, in a way, she feels responsible for Lily getting those nightmares since, well, she is Lily's roommate, and Lisa still has been experimenting and doing test subjects and all that, you know, like she always does. So I really do like how Lisa, because she feels responsible for Lily's nightmares, that she's willing to do whatever it takes to help her with her nightmare situation, even if it means going inside the dreams herself.
I was surprised the fact that we're getting callbacks from season 1. Out of all places, season 1, because Trashy was back in the greenhouse. This tentacle was back in one of those season 1 episodes. And I thought was like, huh, we're actually talking about those episodes. And the thing is, they're not callbacks. They're actually integrated into Lily's mind. And I'm like, wow. So these kind of images that Lisa has done really has haunted Lily. And I'm like, okay, so they're actually a part of Lily's nightmares. And they actually they actually have a big role in this episode. So I'm like, oh, so this continuity parts, they're just not callbacks. They're actually they're actually something to emphasize for because this is part of Lily's nightmares. I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty cool. They're not actually calling it back. They actually are saying this is why Lily's having nightmares.
Exactly. That's what I like about this.
Yeah, and I love how they just put the continuity part and actually integrate into the episode. I'm like, thank God. This ain't a callback. This ain't like the Fox quintuplets of glory days.
No, this is
Just
used
called
much
back.
better, much
They're
much
just
more
called back.
effectively.
They're just called back just because, one of the frogs died. And I don't know if they even had a frog.
It was a fish. It was
A
actually
fish,
a goldfish.
Fish, yeah, a fish. Sorry. But yeah, that happened. So let's actually continue on with the episode because, Lily starts to cry and everybody's starting to not fall asleep. So Lisa would use her new dream machine to help Lily with her nightmares. Now, alongside Lincoln, Lynn, Lenny, and Lola, they have a mission to get her dream to stop these nightmares. Did you feel like this was, this part here obviously was a Inception episode that they were going to embark. The thing is, how'd you like that whole fact that all of them were going in there just to help Lenny out or just help Lily out?
Like I really do love the fact that, like I said, since Lisa does feel responsible for Lily's nightmares, she's willing to go herself and fix the situation for Lily's sake. Like she's not doing this to experiment or use as a test subject. No, she generally wants to help Lily out. And it's just that's where the heart shines in this episode and makes it one of the best episodes I've seen. It's just like the heart and soul of it, the bond between Lisa and Lily. It's just so endearing, which I'm going to touch upon later. And also the Inception episode, I felt like I said, when we get into the episode, like I said, it gave me like Inception flashbacks. Believe me, there were some heavy ones. It was up to the point where I'm kind of surprised that they never poked fun of the fact that it's a reference to Inception. Kind of like South Park did, but less obvious. Like, I'm sort of surprised that it didn't go like fellow siblings, I have decided to go into Lily's dreams, just like my favorite movie. And then Lincoln goes, oh, you mean that one where it's a bunch of guys going into dreams? Honestly, I was confused. And then Lisa goes, kiss, kiss. Does your simple mind not absorb cinematic brilliance, dear brother? Oh, man. It would have been really funny. It would have been legit hilarious.
Brilliance. It is true. Inception is cinematic brilliance. Yeah, I would say like a lot of Inception vibes that I'm having from this episode. So the gang would enter Lily's dreams, all doing their part to take down each nightmare, including Trashy and the Tentacle. How'd you like this whole sequence here of having each sibling pretty much try to take down these nightmares that Lily's have been having?
Now, of course, the beauty of dream hopping episodes of cartoons, like I've seen the one with SpongeBob, I've seen the one with Gravity Falls, I've seen the one with South Park, like I just mentioned. Like all these have dream hopping episodes. Let me tell you, the beauty of these kinds of episodes is that you can make any kind of scenario, any kind of over the top or even absurd creature or any sort of zany, wacky situation, and you can make it work however you want. And honestly, one of the best things is, of course, the action scenes and how they take down Trashy and Tentacle. Like you got Lynn and Lola pretty much beating the shit out of Trashy and then beat him down when it takes down the trash. And then you got the pun where Lynn's like, that's how you take out the trash. It's like pure comedic brilliance. And also the fact with Tentacle and how Lincoln had to go in with the teddy bear and he uses the teddy bear as bait so that when the squid tentacle pretty much grabs the bear, Lincoln then flushes down the tentacle. I was just like, I love how they defeat the monsters in such creative ways. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's absurd, it's over the top, but like I said, they're basically dreams. Okay, in dreams, anything is possible, and in dreams themselves, of course, they could be absurd. They could be weird in any way they want. Okay, it's not like slice of life scenarios where it's basically grounded into reality. No, in dreams, let me tell you, like as long as you get creative with it, you have fun with it. Let me tell you, like you got yourself one hell of an episode. Let me tell you, you could tell that the creators really had fun with this episode.
Say the least, from all the dream sequences that I saw from all this, like them trying to take out Trashy, them to take out the tentacle, I thought that was like action packed, like mind gripping. So how to explain it? It's more like it's so fast paced and things like that. I'm like, I didn't expect it to actually show up like this is going to happen here or there and all that kind of thing. So I thought it was absolutely amazing just to see all the action sequences happen. having Lynn trying to take down Trashy. You get Lincoln trying to help out and take down the Tentacle. It looked all like something that you would see from movie to say, and it was awesome just to see that.
Exactly. That's what I really love about this episode. Like, none of the Louds really feel like they're, put in just because they're Louds. No, each of them serve a purpose to the mission. Each of them serve a purpose to the story. None of them feel like filler. None of them feel like extras. They all have a significant role to play. Even Lenny with her, comedic and just like, because she can speak Lily's language. Boop, boop. I love that. That was so cute.
That's Lenny's sort of thing. But then again, like, it does kind of tell you, like, Lenny's not useless. I guess, like, she speaks baby.
I love that one.
Oh my god. So, in the end, they did eliminate those two monsters, but she still ended up having nightmares. There was actually one more that they had to take down. Wouldn't you know it? It was actually Flip. Call back to, was it Blinded by Science? Call back to Blinded by Science? Really? We're going back to that episode?
Despite that, I got something to say.
What were your thoughts about Flip? With the experiments that happened with Flip, and seeing like him having two butts, and the nasty stuff that's been happening that actually popped up in Blinded by Science actually showed again here in Dream of Lily Dream.
Yes. Thank you, episode. I love you for this, man. I love that even this episode acknowledges that Flip is a terrible, horrible character. Let me tell you, the episode perfectly acknowledges this up to a point where he is used as the main antagonist, the biggest, baddest nightmare of all, up to the point where, like, it is scarier than even Trashy and Tentacle combined. Let me tell you, this is pure genius writing, just pure genius, just a self-awareness of it. Flip is not only Lily's nightmare, but let me tell you, he is all of our nightmares as well. And trust me, folks, okay, like, you tell me that whenever you sleep and dream for 1 second, you don't have a single nightmare of that horrid beast of a creature. I am just like, thank you. And of course, as always, he is like, look at this, the size, the green eyes, just the fact that he's Titan size. Like, oh my god, basically it's Attack on Flip. I'm just like, oh my god, yes, thank you. It's honestly one of the best jokes I've seen in this series. It's just, yes, thank you.
I feel like when the writers actually made this episode, they were like, who should we put as the biggest antagonist? And obviously it was Flip. I think they're listening to us. I think they're listening to all of us saying, like, we hate Flip, so why not have him as the villain, as the main nightmare of Lily? And it totally showed here. And I thought, wait, were they talking to us? Were they reflecting back to us the fact that we said that we hate Flip? So this is what we get?
Could be. Let me tell you, it works perfectly. It works so perfectly. I don't know what the case was, but they decided to write Flip as a main antagonist. But either way, this flipping works.
Now, the other thing, too, is that, like I said, it also was a callback to Blinded by Science. Remember? We get it. Like, Flip was a weird creature, and you totally see it here in this giant version of Flip, too. Look, he has two butts, so it kind of tells me, okay, we're going back to Blinded by Science. How did you like the fact that, that sort of Flip is actually here?
Well, despite the fact that it's a callback to that episode, everything I could gloss over that. I could ignore the fact that, it was a reference to that episode that shall not be named, and just look at the fact that they use, like, the self-awareness, this comedic writing, this genius comedic writing to put Flip as the main antagonist. Just look at it and be like, that is a brilliant gag in and of itself right there.
Now I have a feeling, just because we all said our bad reviews about Blinded by Science is the reason why they also brought Flip back here in this episode. I have a feeling that also is another thing too.
I guess in a way, like, Blinded by Science did indirectly did give us, like, one redeeming quality. It's a small one, but just that tiny, tiny redeeming quality, and it's the fact that it gave birth to this joke.
Oh man. Either way, I mean, I love the fact that Flip was the villain, like the main villain overall, the one dream that they have to defeat. Now, it seems that they would. Now, the thing is that this was a giant. It would seem that they would all lose to Flip, but willingly, Lisa would be the one to actually make the ultimate sacrifice and actually take on Flip herself, and have the rest of the crew saved by making them wake up. That is until Lily came to the rescue and eliminated Flip herself. So, explain this final scene where Lily actually saved Lisa and they ended up eliminating Flip.
Oh, gosh. I adore this ending. This ending is one of the best endings I have ever seen in the Loud House episode. Lisa staying to help save Lily from the nightmares, Lisa willing to sacrifice herself to save her sister, and then Lily herself returning her love and affection by saying, we found well, and then turning it to Cloud from Final Fantasy and slaying the beast that nobody likes, and to top it off, Lisa kissing Lily on the cheek.
Okay,
it is just so adorable. I'm just like, oh, the heart and soul. The heart and soul.
That was adorable, I must say.
Oh, yes. And the cherry on top, Lily crawling up to Lisa's bed, and she goes, Willie has good dream about you.
That was cute.
That was cute. Oh God, so happy. I was just so happy. It is just the pure heart, the pure soul of the entire series is incorporated into this beautiful masterpiece of an episode. And then Lisa goes, "Yeah, tell me all about it, Lily." My heart, man. Yeah, my heart is so precious, I can't take it. This really highlights Lisa and Lily's sibling bond, as it really shows how Lily is more than Lisa's roommate. Lily is more than Lisa's test subject. She is most importantly her dearest sister, and she'll do anything to protect Lily. And it goes both ways too, as Lily will do anything to protect Lisa as well. And of course, it ends with one of the best closing shots in the entire series, where Lisa and Lily lay in bed smiling at each other. Newsflash, people, closing shots matter. And don't you forget that.
I have to say, though, that whole last sequence, I mean, Lisa, like, trying to fight Flip by herself. I mean, first off, you thought it would just be another typical Lisa episode where it's kind of like, a little bit underwhelming, but this is actually one of these episodes which I thought was absolutely amazing. Just the fact that she's there to help Lily out, trying to take care of all of their nightmares, and at the same time, sacrifice herself. And I never expected Lisa to actually do that, but to sacrifice herself and take care of Flip. I mean, if it actually failed, Lisa may have not existed again. I don't know. But out of all of it, though, Lily, on the other hand, look, you can totally see her grow up. The fact that she's defending, like she's also fighting her own nightmares as well. She's not the useless baby anymore. She's actually a person who would, who's growing up, who's using her dreams to take care of Flip and defeat him, and also save Lisa, which I thought was just absolutely amazing. So in a way, I keep seeing this episode as like Lisa absolutely developing as a character, Lily growing up, and at the end having them together. Look, they're going to be roommates for who knows how long, and they're actually, even if you just see them as just roommates because Lisa's just a smart person and Lily's just a baby, they're going to become like a bonding sibling here. They're bonding as siblings, as roommates, obviously. And this actually shows in this episode. So I'm just happy actually to have Lisa and Lily have their own episode. And it absolutely works out in the end because it totally was an adventure of a ride, to say the least. And no doubt about it, Lily's best episode, like Lily's best performance, Lisa's best performance, definitely here at Dribble Lily Dream.
Yes, I totally 100% agree, man.
Now, anything else you want to bring up from this episode?
I'm going to say this right now. If not for Camped, this would easily be my favorite season 5 episode. However, this episode is definitely a close second favorite season 5 episode. I absolutely adore it. Not only is the dream aspect so engaging, where not only is there so much action, so much creativity, like so much of like these so much of the color scheme also. Like, notice how the skies and everything are pretty much like a orange-red color, giving off this scary atmosphere because it's Lily's nightmare. It was just very nice touch in terms of animation. And of course, the monsters themselves are very well animated. Like, they do look legit threatening. So I love everything about the dream aspect, especially with the action and the animation. Not only that, but combined with the amount of heart and bond between the two youngest Loud siblings, it's just so beautiful. This is without a doubt my favorite Lisa episode. This is without a doubt my favorite Lily episode. This is one of my top 2 favorite season 5 episodes. And of course, this is one of my top 10 favorite Loud House episodes of all time. I love the episode that much. And that is why I'm going to give this episode a very rare rating and give this a 10 out of 10.
Wow. This is one of your rare moments of actually putting a 10 on an episode.
This is just pure perfection. Everything about this episode really worked, and how it's the best of all worlds. The action-packed aspect, the dream aspect, the family bond aspect, all combined into one episode, and it's an episode that I can watch over and over and over and just never get tired of it. It's just, it is the Loud sibling bond episode that it is just an ultimate dream that I've been dreaming of.
A lot of dreams, I would say.
Yes.
To say the least, I really loved everything that happens inside the dream. But the other thing too is what happened outside the dream. I love the fact that, like, you know, even if it's like really early in the morning, like 2 or 3 in the morning, apparently Mr. Grouse still mows his lawn. I love the fact that Rita comes in and just starts to whip his ass or something.
Yeah, and then Lana comes to beat the hell out of the senior group too. So I love the fact that, like, the Louds outside of the dream are just as useful as the Louds inside the dream also. Like I said, every Loud serves a purpose, whether they're in the dream or not.
Right. So they were trying to make them fall asleep and let them, instead of having them wake up. Because I love the fact that, like, Lana and Rita actually just went out to, like, say, hey, make them stay quiet. And I love the fact that, like, apparently they just sleep in bushes for some reason. I don't know. They end up, like, you know, beating up Mr. Grouse for, like, you know, mowing the lawn, and then at the end, Rita sleeps in a bush. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I love the fact. Same with Lana, yeah. Like both Rita and Lana, as well as the people they hit, they all fall asleep in the bushes. Like, it's so hilarious.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, like, how the comedic aspect of the episode actually ended up doing pretty well. So I'm so happy overall with this episode.
Yes.
But I mean, like, how do we organize it all? I mean, everybody's involved. Of course, the whole dream aspect turned out to be awesome. The callbacks from season 1 definitely was there, and the continuity was absolutely amazing. It's actually just the fact that, you know, they didn't actually just call it out. They actually incorporated it into the episode why Lily is having a bad dream because of Trashy back in season 1, same with the Tentacle back in season 1, and then Flip back in season 4. So yeah, no doubt about it. This definitely was a surprising episode. And I got to go with you, Omi. I got to give this a 10 as well. It definitely, like, if I look back at it, it definitely does make it perfect. Like, everything all around it. So yeah, no doubt about it. 10 out of 10. And FYI, we never give out 10s like this so much. I gave a 10 already to Lori Days, and I gave a 10 to Dream and Lily Dream. So we are winning in this aspect here of Loud House episodes.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's 2 mediocre episodes followed by 2 masterpiece Loud House episodes.
Yeah, we'll never forget about Much Ado About Not. We'll forget about Much Ado About Noshing, and same goes to Broadcast Blues. Oh boy. Well, nonetheless, I mean, to say the least, that whole day full of 4 episodes, I must say, though, it was undoubtedly awesome just to see Loud House episodes again. And we're happy to actually see Loud House episodes come back in October when they have a brand new Halloween special. So we can't wait for more new Loud House episodes for sure. It kind of sucks that we have to wait this long, but hey, at least October's tomorrow. So yeah, new Loud House episodes coming soon.
Tomorrow is the month of Halloween, so get yourselves ready. Dress up with costumes and stuff.
Yeah, spoopy time. Get ready to get spooky. All right, just so yeah, just a heads up that you remember that you can listen to our LoudCasa Talks wherever you listen to podcasts like Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you like the stream, make sure that if you like the YouTube stream, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Loud House and Casagrandes contents, and also hit that bell button so that you can hit the bell button so you'll be noticed on when we come on next. And we'll let you know that next Thursday we're gonna have a brand new episode of the Loud Casa Talks mini episode. We're gonna be reviewing the latest Casagrandes episodes that came out September 3rd and September 10th. If you don't know what they are, there they are. We're gonna be reviewing Just Be Cool, Teed Off, Better Like Abuelo, and Unstoppable. So those 4 episodes we're gonna be reviewing next Thursday.
Yeah, so get ready for that, y'all. So Casa Crew, get yourselves hyped.
All right, and that's pretty much it for us here. It's a pretty long one, but heck, we're back. We're back. We're reviewing episodes again, so I'm pretty happy to see our crowd back. And hopefully we'll get more people to come in and enjoy our reviews.
Yeah, thank you all so much for the love and support. Your listening, love and support really means so much to us. And it's so good to be back. Like I said, this was an ultimate comeback.
And that's it for us here. So thank you very much for checking out the live stream. We'll be back next Thursday to review the Casagrandes episodes. My name is Nate.
And this is Omid saying thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, smell you later, Louds.
Also, Amphibia comes out in 2 days.
The hype. Hop on, guys. Hop on to season 3.